Did you know that the very retirement plan sitting in your 401k right now, the one you've carefully built for decades, could actually be silently programmed to fail, drain your savings dry by age 79, and leave you financially dependent on your children? Imagine this: two people, both with $800,000 saved, both withdrawing $40,000 a year, both hit by the exact same 30% market crash. One runs out of money at 79. The other's portfolio lasts until 92. Same crash, same savings, 13 years apart. For millions of Americans over 55 planning how to retire in 2026 and beyond, this nightmare is one bad market year away from becoming reality. As a financial advisor, I've watched this destroy more retirement plans than any bad stock pick or overspending habit ever could. Shocking research from Charles Schwab and the Center for Retirement Research confirms that a market crash in your final 5 years before retirement can cause up to 10 times more permanent damage than the same crash a decade earlier. It's called sequence of returns risk, and financial planners call these final 5 years the retirement red zone. But before you panic and move everything to cash, listen closely, because today I'm going to reveal 5 specific moves that protect your retirement from the red zone, bridge your income gaps year by year, and make sure you walk into day one retired with a bulletproof plan, not a prayer. If you enjoyed this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Let's get into it. Let me show you exactly why these 5 years are so dangerous, because once you see the math, you'll never look at your retirement timeline the same way again. When you're 52 and the market drops 30%, your $800,000 becomes $560,000. Painful? Yes. But you're not withdrawing. You're still contributing. Over the next decade, that money recovers and compounds. By 62, you might even be ahead. But when you're 62 and that same crash hits, you've already stopped earning. You need $40,000 to live. So you pull from a portfolio that just lost $240,000. Now you're at $520,000, and it keeps bleeding. Every year you withdraw, the hole gets deeper. There's not enough left to participate in the recovery. Research from CNBC and New York Life confirms this mechanism. Even with identical average returns over 20 years, simply swapping the order, putting the worst year first instead of last, causes the portfolio to run out by year 17. Same returns, different sequence, completely different outcome. This is why the last 5 years aren't just another 5 years. They are the most dangerous 5 years of your financial life. And most people walk right through the red zone without a single adjustment to their plan. But if you thought the red zone was the only problem, wait until you hear about the income gap that hits the moment you stop working. Because that is where most retirements silently fall apart. Thing 1, map your income year by year, not as one lump sum. The first thing you need to do, and almost nobody does this, is stop asking, how much do I need to retire? That question is killing your planning. Here's why. When someone tells you you need $1.5 million to retire, your brain does one of two things: panics because you don't have that much, or it relaxes because you do. Both reactions are wrong, because a single number tells you nothing about when you actually need money and where the gaps are. Instead, ask this: where are my income gaps between 62 and 70? Let me show you what I mean. Picture a simple timeline on paper. At age 62, you stop working. Your paycheck disappears overnight. From 62 to 65, you have no employer health insurance and no Social Security, unless you choose to take a reduced benefit. At 65, Medicare kicks in. That's one gap solved. At 67, you're eligible for full Social Security benefits. At 70, you hit maximum Social Security. Your monthly check is now 76% higher than what it would have been at 62, according to the Social Security Administration. Each gap on that timeline is a separate problem that needs a separate solution. Maybe you're short $22,000 a year between ages 62 and 65. That's not a $1.5 million problem. That's a $66,000 bridge problem, much more solvable. Maybe between 65 and 67, you only need $14,000 because Medicare covers your health costs. From 67 onward, Social Security fills most of the gap. When you break retirement into a year-by-year income map, the impossible suddenly becomes actionable. Here's what you do this week. Get a blank sheet of paper. Write the years from your planned retirement age to 70 across the top. Under each year, write your expected income sources: pension, social security, rental income, part-time work, whatever you have. Then write your expected expenses. The difference is your gap. That gap is the real number you need to plan for, not some terrifying total that a calculator spit out. This is how professional financial planners approach it. They don't look at a lump sum, they look at cash flow year by year. Now you can too. And once you see those gaps clearly, the next move becomes obvious. Thing 2. Weaponize your last paycheck, your most powerful financial weapon. Your last 5 working years aren't a countdown. They're a launch pad. Right now, you have more leverage than you will ever have again. You're at or near peak earnings. You have decades of experience and a professional network that took a lifetime to build. And in 5 years, all of that evaporates, unless you convert it into something that keeps paying you. Most retirement advice tells you to save more or max out your 401k. That's defensive thinking. I want you to think offensively. Here's what offensive looks like for someone 5 years from retirement. First, look at your current compensation. Have you renegotiated in the last 2 years? According to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, workers aged 55 to 64 change jobs less frequently but also negotiate less. That's a mistake. Your experience is worth more now than it was at 40. One successful negotiation, even a 10% raise, on a $90,000 salary means $9,000 more per year flowing into your retirement contributions. Over 5 years, that's $45,000 plus growth. Second, and this is the move most people miss entirely, start building a consulting bridge before you retire. A 60-year-old with 30 years of industry experience can charge $150 to $250 per hour as an independent consultant. Senior consultants and industry veterans routinely command those rates, and sometimes significantly more for specialized knowledge. You don't need to work full-time. 10 to 15 hours a week at $175 per hour. For the first 3 years of retirement generates $91,000 to $136,000 per year. That's enough to bridge every income gap from your year-by-year map without touching your retirement accounts, without paying early withdrawal penalties, without interrupting compound growth. The key is to plant those seeds now, while you still have a title, a team, and active industry connections. Build relationships with former clients. Attend conferences. Start a LinkedIn presence that positions you as a resource, not a retiree. I've seen this one move add 5 to 7 years to a retirement portfolio's lifespan. Because every dollar you earn from consulting is a dollar you don't withdraw. And that dollar stays invested, compounding, working for your future self. Now if you're thinking, this is great, but what about protecting what I already have? You're asking exactly the right question, because the next thing on this list might be the most important one. And it has nothing to do with money. By the way, if you're finding this useful, drop a quick comment. Just one word, useful. The algorithm shows this video to more people when you engage, and I want every person within 5 years of retirement to see this. Thing 3. The documents that protect your money when you can't. You can have $2 million saved and still lose control of every penny, because you skipped 4 documents that cost less than $1,500 to set up. This is the retirement risk nobody puts on a spreadsheet. According to a 2026 Trust and Will survey reported by Morningstar, only 11% of American adults have a durable financial power of attorney. 11%. And among those over 55, fewer than 1 in 5 have all of the recommended legal documents in place. Let me paint a picture of what that means in practice. A 63-year-old man suffers a stroke. His wife cannot access their investment accounts because there's no financial power of attorney on file. The brokerage says, "We can't take instructions from anyone other than the account holder." The court process for emergency guardianship takes 4 to 6 months. During those months, the market drops 15%. His wife watches their retirement savings shrink in real time, and she can't sell, rebalance, or move a single dollar. Not because they didn't save enough, because they didn't sign one piece of paper. This scenario happens every single day in America, and it's entirely preventable. Before you retire, you need 4 documents. Number 1, durable financial power of attorney. This gives someone you trust the legal authority to manage your money if you become incapacitated. Without it, your family goes to court. That costs $5,000 to $15,000 in legal fees and months of delay. Number 2, healthcare proxy. This names someone to make medical decisions for you if you can't communicate. Different from a living will, this is about who decides, not what they decide. Number 3, living will, also called an advance directive. This documents your wishes about end-of-life care, feeding tubes, ventilators, resuscitation. Without it, your family argues. With it, they follow your instructions. Number 4, updated beneficiary designations. This is the one people forget. Your 401k, IRA, and life insurance payout to whoever is named on the beneficiary form, regardless of what your will says. If you got divorced 10 years ago and never updated the form, your ex-spouse gets the money. This happens far more often than you'd think. An estate attorney can set up all 4 documents in a single appointment. Total cost, typically $500 to $1,500 depending on your state. Compare that to the $5,000 to $15,000 guardianship process. Or worse, the hundreds of thousands lost because nobody could manage the portfolio during a crisis. This week, make one phone call. That's all. One phone call to an estate attorney. Schedule the appointment. Get these 4 documents in place before another day passes. And once you've protected your money legally, there's one final test your retirement plan needs to survive. Thing 4. Stress test your plan. The what if I'm wrong? Framework. A retirement plan isn't real until it survives the question, what if I'm wrong? Most retirement plans are built on best-case assumptions. The market returns 7% per year. You stay healthy. Nothing catastrophic happens. And on paper, everything looks beautiful. But here's the problem. Paper doesn't care about reality. Reality throws curveballs. I want you to run 3 specific scenarios through your plan. If your money survives all 3, you have a real plan. If it runs out in any of them, you don't have a plan. You have a wish. Scenario 1, a 40% market crash in your first year of retirement. We talked about sequence of returns risk at the top of this video. Now apply it directly. Take your current projected portfolio balance at retirement. Cut it by 40%. Then run your withdrawal rate against that reduced number. Does the money last 25 years? If not, you need a bigger cash buffer, or a more conservative allocation for those first 3 to 5 years. Scenario 2. You need long-term care at age 75. According to the Medicaid Planning Assistance Database, updated March 2026, the nationwide average cost for a semi-private nursing home room is $119,340 per year. A private room averages $135,528. Home health care runs about $80,080 annually. The Milliman 2025 Long-Term Care Index estimates that the average 65-year-old will spend $135,000 on long-term care costs over their lifetime, but that's an average. Women average $171,000. And if you need 3 to 5 years of nursing home care, you're looking at $360,000 to $675,000. Does your plan have an answer for that? Most don't. Medicare does not cover long-term care. If this number isn't in your spreadsheet is lying to you. Scenario 3. You live to 95 instead of 85. The average American who reaches 65 has a life expectancy of roughly 83 for men and 86 for women. But average means half the population lives longer. If you plan for 85 and live to 95, that's 10 extra years of expenses, inflation, and healthcare costs that you didn't budget for. Run each of these 3 scenarios. Write down what breaks, then fix it. Whether that means increasing your cash reserve, adjusting your withdrawal rate, purchasing long-term care insurance, or building a consulting bridge from Thing 2. This exercise takes about 2 hours. Could save you $300,000 or more. Quick question for you. Which of these 3 scenarios scares you the most? Drop a number in the comments. 1, 2, or 3. I read every comment, and I'll tell you which one I see the most often in my practice. And now, let me tell you about the thing almost no one in this industry talks about. Everyone plans TO retirement. Almost nobody plans through it. Thing 5. Build your Day 1 retired plan, the first 90 days that set the tone for 30 years. Most people spend months, sometimes years, planning their last day of work. The retirement party, the goodbye emails, the final handshake, and then Day 1 arrives. And they have no idea what to do. Not emotionally, financially, Which income source do you turn on first? What happens to your health insurance at midnight? When does your first self-paycheck arrive? Who do you call to activate your pension? When is your first portfolio review scheduled? If you don't have answers to these questions written down, you're going to wake up on the most important financial day of your life and improvise. And improvisation in finance is just a polite word for mistakes. Here's your day 1 retired checklist. Write this down. Week 1, activate your income replacement. If you have a pension, confirm the start date and payment method. If you're starting Social Security, verify your first deposit date with SSA. If you built a consulting bridge from Thing 2, confirm your first client engagement. Set up an automatic monthly transfer from your investment account to your checking account. This is your new paycheck. Pick an amount based on your year-by-year income map from Thing 1. Week 1, health insurance transition. If you're under 65, you have 60 days of COBRA eligibility from your last day of employment. Use that window to shop for a marketplace plan or join a spouse's plan. If you're over 65, confirm your Medicare enrollment is active. Do not miss this window. Gaps in coverage can be catastrophic. Month 1, set your new budget. Your spending patterns will change immediately. No more commuting costs, work lunches, or professional clothing. But new costs appear. More meals at home, more utilities, potentially more healthcare copays. Track every dollar for the first 30 days. This isn't punishment, it's intelligence gathering. Month 1 to 3, first quarterly portfolio review. Whether that's with a financial advisor or on your own, review your asset allocation, your withdrawal rate, and your year-by-year map. Adjust based on actual spending, not projections. Month 1 to 3, test drive your lifestyle. This is your 90-day pilot program. Are you spending what you expected? More? Less? Are there expenses you didn't anticipate? Are there income sources you could activate that you haven't yet? These 3 months set the financial habits for the next 30 years. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is control. When you have a written plan for day 1, day 7, day 30, and day 90, retirement stops being something that happens to you and starts being something you built. Let me bring this full circle. We started with a terrifying fact. A single market crash in your final 5 years can destroy 13 years of retirement income. That's the retirement red zone, and if you're in it right now, you cannot afford to coast. But you also can't afford to panic, because you now have 5 specific moves. 1. Map your income gaps year by year so you know exactly where the holes are. 2. Weaponize your last paycheck and build a consulting bridge that buys you time. 3. Sign the 4 documents that keep your family in control when you can't be. 4. Stress test your plan against the 3 nightmares that break most retirements. 5. Build your day 1 checklist so you walk into retirement with a plan, not a prayer. 5 years. 5 moves. That's it. If you're watching this video right now, you still have time. Not unlimited time, but enough. And the fact that you watched until the end tells me you're the kind of person who takes action, not just takes notes. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one thing from this list, just one, and do it this week. Then come back to this video, leave a comment, and tell me which one you did. I read every single comment, and I'll reply. If this video gave you even one insight you hadn't considered before, share it with someone you know who's within 5 years of retirement. Because the information in this video could be the difference between running out of money at 79 and living comfortably to 92. As a financial advisor, I can tell you the people who thrive in retirement aren't the ones who save the most. They're the ones who plan the best. And planning starts right here. I'll see you in the next one.